Smart strategy, real conversations, bigger margins. This is Chasing the Margin podcast.
All right, welcome back to Chasing the Margin. Today we have Mr. Brad Howard. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Brad has a lot of interesting background that we were chatting about beforehand, so we'll jump into that. But Brad, tell us about who you are and why you're on the podcast.
Yeah, so as you said, my name's Brad Howard, and I am the founder and CEO of a sports nutrition brand called Genetic Edge Compounds. So I founded it in 2010. It's been a long journey. The market changes daily, it seems like. Trends change daily. So here I am to talk about that.
Cool. Yeah, I got a lot of trends that I've talked about with guests over the episodes that I think you'll have really good insight on. I have a bunch of things that I want, particularly you, in regards to supplements, to answer on whether or not I should be doing some stuff. So we'll answer those today.
Hopefully I can help.
So talk to me about, I was reading just about Genetic Edge and the story about why you started, but talk to me about why creating a supplement company and why getting into the industry in the first place.
Yeah, so it was a little bit by accident. And I feel like, doors close and doors open for a reason throughout your life. Rewinding a few years ago, so like I said, I started in 2010. But back before that, I spent a lot of time, I worked for one of the largest chemical manufacturing companies in the world. And I did that in Florida. It took me eventually to Chicago. And eventually, I built up such a big sales territory in Florida. Took me to Chicago, became a business development manager, opened that up, had a lot of reps that worked for me throughout the country, and I eventually got invited to be part of their formulations team.
Okay.
I'm not a chemical engineer as far as my background goes, but they were so impressed with what I did on the sales side, they invited me to become part of their formulations team and help formulating products. So I guess you could say I've been in the gym, training, trying to stay fit for 26 years now, and that was really the first thing in my life that was more than just a job and gave me more of like, gave me something I was really passionate about. When I got to be part of the formulation side, I thought, man, this is really cool. It's really fun because I got to work, even though it was not supplements at the time, it was chemicals basically in the oil and gas industry, heavy maintenance equipment, maintenance, things like that. And so I was able to help formulate a lot of those products that help keep, the oil and gas industry running and cranking. So I realized that was kind of a passion, putting things together like that. And I felt like I was pretty good at it. And eventually that kind of stepped my way into supplements.
Okay, so I guess back then you got to learn how some of the chemistry works behind these things, and then you just happened to, as a hobby / passion, be a gym goer, like so many of us are.
Yeah.
And then eventually those two paths just kind of merged.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how they kind of merged is I was in Chicago, I was doing well, it was fun, but eventually the company I was with wanted to relocate me to Atlanta, and we couldn't meet in the middle on, what I wanted to be paid and the increase in pay and all that. I was a young single guy at the time, and they kind of, thought, hey, we can take Brad and we can send him to Atlanta and kind of, he doesn't have any ties to anywhere. And I kind of fought back. They weren't willing to give me what I wanted. And so we parted ways. Came back to Dallas, which is where I'm from. So by chance, again, I've always been, in the gym trying to stay fit, healthy. And back then it was more about trial and error with supplements. I had a friend in Florida that was in the industry that actually owned a brand. He taught me a lot and was trial and error over taking different ingredients, different supplements, and seeing what worked, what didn't. So I was kind of having to piece everything together and spending a fortune doing, obviously, taking many different supplements. But it was really kind of by chance. I had a friend that owned a local sports nutrition store that I was shopping with in Dallas. And, he comes to me one day and he's like, hey, if and he had a chemistry degree, by the way, from I believe Kansas State.
Okay.
And he came to me and he said, "Hey, Brad, by the way, I know you've got connections in the supplement industry. I know that you have a friend that owns a brand in Florida." And again, really, I didn't know a whole lot about the business, the branding, or anything like that, other than what my friend had shared with me. And so this friend that owned a local store said, if I were to write out some formulas for my store specifically, could you talk to your friend and get these, items produced? And he's like, it'd save me some money. I'd pay you for your time, things like that. So he wrote out, I think, a couple of formulas to start out with. I went to my friend. Friend shared information about his designer who he used, not manufacturers at the time, brokers that he used to have relationships between him and the manufacturers, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I started basically with these two products. I thought, why not? I can help my friend out. If I can make a few dollars on the side, everybody wins. So that's what I did. I started with my friend helped me get set up with a designer, get set up with this broker that had relationships between brands and manufacturing. So I started there, started with two products in his store. And before I knew it, he was calling me going, "Hey, I need more. And I thought, okay, well, I guess at this time it can be a little side gig. I opened up an LLC. Mm-hmm. Started setting up things the right way, right? Set up the bank account, everything.
Was that Genetic Edge that you set up?
That was Genetic Edge. Yeah, okay. That was in 2010.
Yeah.
So, that was, again, just by chance. I set up the company, got all the things running that way. Still didn't really know, everything about the business, obviously. And, to be honest, like I still learn today. All these, I listen to as many people as I can, mm-hmm. take bits and pieces of information from people that I can learn from. And, that's kind of how I've taught myself and learned how to run a business over the years. But what happened is he was doing so well that he's part of a franchise, a local franchise.
Okay.
Eventually, he's calling me going, "Hey, Brad, now all these other stores want to talk to you." And I think there was like 17 of them at the time.
Yeah.
So then I start talking to all these other stores and eventually get their business with those products. Yeah. And then by chance, a few months go by and my wife, which is my girlfriend at the time, had a friend that said, "Hey, I've got a date this weekend. This guy's from Austin. He's in town all week working." I had no clue what he did. And you guys want to go out and have dinners, drinks, whatever. And we met up with him just by chance. This guy that I met worked for another brand in the industry. Okay. Was a sales rep. And so we get to talk, and I think the girls weren't too happy about it because he and I spent so much time together that night. So he says, "Look, he said, I've been doing this a while." He said, "I'm in town all week working the stores here." He said, "Let's meet next week at Starbucks or something, and we'll talk. I think I can get your products out in more stores." We met. We struck a deal. I kind of went back home and put together like a commission structure, a pay structure for him, which mm-hmm. again, he'd be my first employee. And I remember just like as we were sitting at Starbucks, his phone's ringing constantly, and his customers, if he was ordering, and I thought, man, this guy's for real. And time went on. And he's getting us in more and more stores. I'm continuing to, structure the company more into a real business, right? And, months go by, 6 months, 8 months, a year, something like that. And he calls me and he says, "Hey, Brad, I got something I want to talk to you about." And I thought, oh no, he's going to leave and we're doing really well. Well, he says, "Hey, I really want to come full-time with you," because at this point he was still kind of part-time me and full-time with the other brand. Yeah. And he says, "I've gotten so much interest on your brand and your products. You're doing something really good here." And he's like, "I don't really have much interest in the other brand anymore, and neither do my customers." So he said, "I want to talk to you about coming full time." So he did full time, and he is still with me today as my executive vice president of sales.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we've continued to build on that, hire more people, and now we're in 550 retail locations
Yeah. So this is definitely true for me, and at least in this scenario, it's definitely true for you. But tell me if you feel like this statement is correct, because I think with anybody who comes on like that's not specific to supplements, just a business owner in general, it would surprise people who are not entrepreneurs how much random people you meet want to help you. Like throughout my career, and at least in this instance for you, I've met people just randomly. Like I have somebody that's coming on later that I just met at a Cowboys game. Like I think we just happened to go to a restaurant after the game and just happened to talk to these people that were probably in line in front of us. And then like a friendship developed, and then you start working together. And I think that there's a lot of people that just want to help other people. And in this instance, it really helped this guy, with his career and financially. But even aside from that, I think that people, for the most part, want to help you succeed. And you just need to be prepared for moments like that, and not necessarily take advantage of the person, but, if it comes up in conversation, be prepared to like promote your business. Do you feel like that's kind of happened to you several times through your career?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, I was working for one of the largest chemical manufacturing companies in the world. I started that career in Florida, and I never will forget. And by the way, I remember whenever I went to Florida, I went because I kind of wanted to change. I was young at the time. I wanted to change, and I remember how many people were against it, going, "Oh, you're not going to like it there. You're not going to," trying to talk me out of it. And something inside, I wanted to follow my heart. I'm like, I'm young. I can always come back. I have family here. I can always come back if I want to. And and these people had never lived there, so how would they know? And some of the people that I've met along the way, it really opened those doors. And for instance, that friend of mine that was in Florida, had I never taken that opportunity and gone there, I would have never met him, that owned the brand.
Yeah.
And he was willing to help me. He didn't have to, because some people could look at it as it's competition. He might start taking my business away if we're in the same business, but he was willing to help.
Yeah.
And I think all these doors open and close for a reason. And I remember when I was in that previous business in Florida, I remember that, I had such a good relationship with all my customers in that business. And I remember one of my really good customers in Florida he was very hard to crack when I got in there. I mean, he was tough, didn't want to talk to people, but I finally got through to him, and he became one of my best customers and almost like one of my really good friends. Like he would drop with, and this guy had a high level position at the company, and no matter what he was doing, he would drop his time if I showed up, and he would talk to me. And he was hard to get in front of at first, but I broke through to him, and I never will. So I never will forget what he said. So I asked him his opinion. I said, "Hey, the company I'm with is wanting to promote me. I love it down here, but they're wanting to, promote me into a business development manager position, which is in Chicago." And I said, he had been in his position 25 or so years. And we'd had a relationship, so I trusted what he said and valued what he said. And he said, he said, "I feel like that opportunities, come around, not all the time, but," he said, "I think anytime you have an opportunity for an advancement, then you should take it." And I valued his opinion because of where he was at in life. And he said, because if that opportunity doesn't, it may not come around again. They may, if you say no, they may never ask you again. And that's it. And so bits and pieces of my life living in those places, for instance, him wanting to help me do that kind of pushed me, okay, that's somebody I trust. I'll go to Chicago. So that's him helping me. My friend that has the brand, that's him helping me. And, all these things, I kind of, I feel like people come and go throughout your life. And like you said, there's a lot of people out there willing to help you. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see you succeed, but there's a lot of people also that are willing to help you. You just have to keep making yourself available. Like you said, you know, you met somebody at a Cowboys game and it turned into something else. And I mean, you never know.
Yeah. For this person or, you know, any of the other distributors or people that you've come in contact with over the years, I think that that's something that's a real key for salespeople is to be able to get in front of somebody that's hard to get in front of. So was there something that you either continued to do for this guy, or was there a tip or trick that you would say like, hey, if you do this, then it really helps you get in front of those people?
As far as my sales VP you're talking about now?
More so the guy that you said was like a mentor to you that kind of told you to step. Is that the same person?
No.
Okay, yeah. So just really people that are hard to get in front of in general, but you said he was one of those people. So is there anything that you did that was like, hey, this is what ultimately helped me get in front of him?
I just kept working it. I feel like, especially in sales, you know, in today's day and age, especially we're in the digital world. So it's a little bit different. I feel like everybody uses the digital world to try to promote now, which I get it. It's great. But back then you didn't have all this. And so I feel like now it's kind of a little bit easier going that route, or people, I don't want to say lazy because it's not lazy, but people try to use that route, you know, a lot, but you're doing nothing different than everybody else.
Yeah.
Back then it was kind of the old school mentality, which is we really kind of still have that today. My sales VP has that today. He drives from here to California to see accounts. He drives all over the U.S. and they're blown away, you know, because nobody does that really anymore. But I would kind of say that strategy, I just kept on. It's very easy if you're in front of somebody, if you call somebody and they hang up on you, to just walk away. And with him, like I know I had to go the extra step, or anybody, because salespeople at that time were probably doing the same thing I was doing, although they were probably going, I'm not going to talk to this guy. He's too hard to get a hold of. I'm just moving on to the next. But I knew that if I just kept on and kept on and kept on, eventually this guy's going to realize that I'm a hustler, I'm a go-getter, and I'm not going to go away. So he's kind of thinking, all right, well, this guy's not going away and leaving me alone. So I mean, he's working hard. He realized the hard work, the work ethic behind it, I guess you could say. And once I did get in front of him, I just, you know, the way that I've always kind of sold is when I get in there, I want to take their mind off of me being a salesman. What am I trying to sell? Because I know they get hit with salespeople all day long. And, you know, just another salesman, send them away. And I wanted to as quickly get to taking his mind off of me being a salesman as I could. So I would look around the office, look at, maybe I see pictures of his family, vacations. And by the way, you have a beautiful family. Where is that? And then before you know it, I'm kind of eased his mind. I brought him back to kind of a happy place instead of being at work or I'm a salesman, right?
Yeah.
And then I would kind of get them to open up, like him particularly. I remember getting him to open up about some family pictures and things like that. And there was I saw a small picture in his office of him doing MMA.
Okay.
And like I loved, watching MMA, UFC when it came out. I was always into that. And so I started talking about that, and immediately, before anything else, before I was there for business or anything. And then once I started talking about that, I saw his eyebrows raised. He got excited.
Yeah.
So I immediately sit down, and there's this old saying, monkey see, monkey do. I was kind of trained to do this. I sat down, he sat down. And when you're sitting down, it naturally puts more people in a relaxed state. Yeah. I mean, we're sitting down right now, right? So now I've got him calm and relaxed and talking about MMA, and before you know it, I'm there an hour, and we're just having fun together. And then finally I'm like, you know what? I've taken enough of your time. If I'll continue to talk your head off, and we'll be here all day. So let me show you what I've been trying to show you for 6 months. And he kind of laughed, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that especially today, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I mean, that's probably pretty obvious considering this. But one of the things that I hear a lot around like AI and technology development and stuff is there's kind of like two paths that could potentially happen where people that use AI become extremely valuable.
Correct.
And then people that kind of like do things, like you said, old school or differently also become valuable.
Right.
And they become valuable for basically the two extremes. And I think that one of the things they talk about a lot, which is exactly what you did, is connecting with people and how just the skill of being able to connect with someone, because, with social media and AI and all these other tools, like you don't need to talk to people, you don't need to connect with people at all, that fewer and fewer people have the skill to just sit down and connect.
I would agree.
And I think that with anybody who is branching out into entrepreneurship, if you're starting a business, at least to a certain extent and probably majority of your job, you're going to have to sell.
Correct.
You're going to have to sell your business, yourself. At a minimum, you're going to have to sell to employees so that they can sell whatever you're doing. But I think having that ability to just sit down and connect with someone and, like you said, just talk about things that are important to them and not just immediately jump down their throat with something that's, hey, this is my product, this is what you need to buy. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, just connect with somebody first. And I think if they do that, it will really help them. Along the
absolutely. Absolutely. There's, that I'm grateful for that company that I started with years ago because they taught me a really good foundation when it comes to selling. And if I remember right, it was actually called the gears of selling. And the most important part of that, you go through all the gears basically like in a car. And the very last gear is the closing. And before any of that, you're kind of, they called it being in neutral or warm up first, then go into neutral. And the warm up basically is what I just discussed with you. Don't go in and immediately start talking about a product or selling. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, because if you're in front of customers, they see people all day long hearing the same thing, different products, but hearing the same spiel all day long. And, going in with the warm up, getting them relaxed, getting them comfortable, almost kind of becoming friendly and getting to know them as a person, that goes a long way. And, at the end of it, you're going to talk about your products, and you better know your products, and you better have good products. You want to take care of them. You want to make sure their customers have the best products out there, whatever you're selling. But, you want to show them that you're there for them, especially like you said, with today's digital world. A lot of people I feel like are losing that interaction between people.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we can stand out, not just in my industry, but any business in any industry, is hold on to that. And I think a lot of companies are losing that face-to-face and that old school mentality. And I mean, I look at AI and the digital world as a tool. It's something that helps us build on top of what we already had. But, like I said, going back to my sales VP, getting in his car, he doesn't even fly. He wants to be in his car because he said, I want to have all my materials. I want to have everything, take my time with customers. And when he drives, say, from here to California, here to New York or whatever, and gets in front of customers, whether it be an existing customer, which solidifies the relationship, lets them know we're still there for them and there for their needs, and, whenever he shows up and they say, you mean to tell me you drove all the way from Texas to California to see me? And if it's a new customer, for instance, that he's never seen before, and he goes, yeah. And they go, well, I'm impressed. I'm blown away. Nobody does that anymore. So you know what? Yeah, I will give you my time since you made all that effort just for me.
Yeah.
And you know what? It still pays off big time.
Yeah, I think it goes a long way. So let's jump in. We've covered a lot of the background about how we got here. I want to jump into some of the specific things for Genetic Edge in general. So in the supplement industry, you and I both know that like it is flooded with tons and tons of businesses trying to get your attention. You even kind of alleviated to it earlier. So one of my questions is, I guess what I want to start with is, how do you differentiate and how do you show people that your product is better than somebody else's?
Yeah, so I think it starts with the relationships, going in old school. showing them that we are not just relying on digital technology today to try to sell products. There's a lot of companies out there that are really good at marketing. I mean, really good at marketing. But some of the formulas I look at, and there's good products out there too, don't get me wrong.
Only genetic edge products.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some out there that their marketing is really good and it draws you in, but then you look at the formulas and they're just really kind of garbage. So I think what sets us apart is, going back to our basics, letting people know that we're real people, that we're there to take care of their needs, and we're here to listen. We're not just out there making products and constantly marketing to try to show that we have a trendy product, or the fanciest looking product, things like that. And we really want to try to build the value in the product. A lot of times, whenever I actually formulate all of our products, we use contract manufacturers, but I'm the one that puts together all of our products, and that sometimes goes through R&D for 6 months to a year.
And that's you working with somebody who's actually building the product?
Yeah, so I use contract manufacturers. I've gotten big enough now over the years, I don't have to use brokers to go. So now I have direct relationships with contract manufacturers. That's
Gotcha.
all they do is manufacture dietary supplements. I mean, when you walk in these facilities, it looks like the same thing as you can imagine of drugs being produced, pharmaceutical drugs being produced. They're the ones I use, they are GMP certified, good manufacturing practices, basically sets the guidelines. They get inspections, things like that. They're registered with the FDA. Basically, when you're GMP certified, it's basically setting the standards of, okay, you're cleaning your equipment between every manufacturing process before you finish this job, you're going to the next job to make sure there's no cross contamination. You're making sure everything's clean, everything's all your raw materials are coming in. They're sitting in quarantine till they're positively put through a lab and identified and things like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we'll, as a person, we will educate our customers first on how our products are made, and that's just a very, very short version of it. Is our products go through those kind of processes. The R&D it goes through, we go back and forth with myself, my team. We'll do samples and make sure the flavors are right. We'll make sure that everything's performing.
And your customers would be the storefronts or individual vendors that are selling the
distributors or storefronts, sports nutrition stores, distributors that distribute for us throughout the world, things like that. And then so what we'll do is, again, we'll be we want our customers involved. So a lot of times we'll start surveying our customers. Hey, we don't care what we want out there. We want what you guys want. We'll do it through social media too, to our fan base, to all the consumers out there. Hey, what would you guys like to see come out in 2027, for instance? We go out to our distributors. We go out to all of our wholesalers, all of our retail sellers, and kind of do a poll or survey. What would you guys like to see out there? And we really like getting their feedback, because, again, I don't care what I want. I don't care. My sales team, they don't care. They want to take care of the customers. And I think that kind of is what sets us apart from all the other products out there, is our extensive R&D involving them with real people, and using the science and technology behind proven ingredients that we know that work. And then of course all of our products are produced in GMP certified facilities. All our products have certificate of analysis on them, every batch. So every finished batch that's done, we have analytical testing done. That way, anytime, let's say, Troy, you buy a product from us, you're going to have a lot number on that bottle. You can literally call us, email us, whatever, and say, hey, can you send me the finished product testing records or certificate of analysis on this product, and we can trace that back. We keep records on meticulous records on everything like that. So
is the lot number like specific to the bottle? Is it specific to like a batch?
A batch. Yeah. So if I had a batch produced of any given product, it's going to have a specific lot number. Let's say once that batch is finished and sold out, we get a new one produced, it's going to have a new lot number. And all that we have retained samples of all that we keep. Our manufacturer keeps retained samples. Our manufacturers keep records, meticulous records of all that. Mm-hmm. So that can be traced from the day that product was made all the way to where that product was sold to the consumer, to the store. There's a paper trail all along the way. And at any given time, let's say that you wanted to, see the results of that product. Hey, this product's pretty expensive. Well, I just kind of would like to see the science behind it and see that I am getting what I paid for. Sure, no problem. We can provide that. And it's got all the breakdown of everything that's in it. And by the way, that's done by a third-party lab. It's not done by the manufacturer. So it's actually sent out to a third-party lab that has no interest in the company. Yeah. And, we pay to have that done.
That's really cool.
To ensure quality. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So one thing you mentioned is like the survey and the feedback mm-hmm. from the customers that you guys have and ultimately their customers to see what they want. Yeah. I think that in today's day and age, just almost everything asks for your feedback. What do you do that like helps you get good feedback? Is there's like specific things, whether it's like reducing the number of questions or making a survey like a 5-star thing? Are there tips and tricks you would give on surveys to get better feedback and more feedback from people?
Yeah, so like from consumers, I think, and forgive me, but my marketing manager handles all of this, but this part of things. But I believe that whenever someone buys products directly, say off our website, mm-hmm. I believe they get some kind of a survey. How did you like our service? How did you like, how would you rank us on, 1 to 5 stars, any feedback, things like that. Mm-hmm. And, I believe we have something in there built in to where consumers can give their honest feedback or how the product performed or what they did or didn't like about it, things like that. Yeah. I believe that's how that goes out on, all the consumer sales, direct consumer sales. And then as far as our wholesalers, again, it's still a kind of a face-to-face conversation, email, phone call, text message, anything back to us directly to my sales team to let them know.
And you think that because you're taking the extra step and extra effort to use your time to do something that not everybody does, that means a lot to the customer and that they kind of meet you in the middle and either give you the text feedback or the phone call or even the face-to-face? You think that's kind of what's making the difference?
I know it does because I know these guys are busy. I know they're busy. And for them to give us the time back, I really believe that that's because of the things we do, thinking outside the box and going that extra mile and extra step, going, hey, like we're here for you. And, my sales guys, I know that they probably sometimes call customers too much, but our customers they know them so well. Our customers have no problem going, man, I'm busy, and hang up on them, call me later. And, they don't take that to heart.
Sure.
They'll call them back and they'll pester them and say, well, dude, you told me to call you Monday. It's Monday. And, the customer's like, oh, you're right. I did. All right, cool. What do you want? And I think that deep down, our wholesale customers, that they realize that we're going that extra step and extra mile when anybody else would just go, here's our social media page. Here's our, here's our brochure. Here's this. Look at it. If there's anything you can use, let me know. Yeah. So I do believe that comes into play.
Yeah. I think in general, supplements have a pretty broad range, definitely percentage-wise of like pricing.
Yeah.
So 2 questions on that. How do you guys do your pricing? And then the second question is there any validity to the more expensive a product is, the better the product is?
Yes, I believe so. So I will explain that like, let's take cars, for instance. You know, obviously a Mercedes or a BMW, Cadillac, something like that is a higher end car. And it's a lot more expensive than say a standard, you know, Ford or, you know, something like that. I may not be using the right the right cars here. I know all cars are getting expensive now, but you know what I'm saying? Just a basic car, Honda Civic, something like that, versus a Mercedes. You know, if you're going to a Mercedes or something like that, or a BMW, you know that you're paying for a high-end car, you know, or the Lamborghini, things like that. You know you're paying for the high-end or the premium. And, you know, if you're going the cheaper route, I'm not saying it's bad, but you're getting the base model. And, you know, people have gotten pretty smart today and pretty in tune with their bodies, I feel like now more than ever. And I think people really are paying attention to what they're putting in their bodies now. So, you know, we're not the cheapest brand out there. I'll admit that. We're not, and I don't want to be. And, you know, that's in the beginning, you know, sometimes that's some of the feedback I would get from my salespeople is go, oh, well, we're not as cheap as this brand. And I'll go, well, we're not that brand, and we're not here to bash that brand. You know, they do what they do. We do. That's not the way we sell. You know, I said, I want to focus on our products, what make our products premium, what make our products the Mercedes and the BMW and the Lamborghinis of the world. And, you know, I consider them premium products and a premium brand. And, you know, not all ingredients cost the same. Not all of them are equal. I mean, there's a lot of ingredients that get very, very expensive. And so if you're using some of those very premium high-end ingredients in your product, it's going to drive the price up of your product. But I realized pretty early on that, you know, people as smart as they've become today and really in tune with their bodies and what they're putting in their bodies, they really pay attention to that. And we really didn't have much of an issue at all, especially today, because people really want to put premium in their body. They want the Cadillacs, the Mercedes, you know. You know, they don't want to skip out on that. So in a way, they would almost see a product on a shelf. Let's say they see this one for $19.99 and they see this one for $49.99. A lot of times, believe it or not, they'll go to the $49.99 because this is people that are in tune with their bodies. They're taking care of their bodies, so they want the best of the best. And I think we've done a pretty good job of training our wholesale customers on how to sell those products and how to show the benefits of those products as well.
Yeah, I would imagine that the better technology gets, and with all these tools that can teach someone pretty easily and very quickly about, like you're saying, the really important pieces of all supplements and what pieces are really, really the difference maker in your body.
Right.
I think it probably makes your job easier. Because, like you said, people are more informed, and you guys are not the ones that are having to do the informing. And it's also probably better that you're not, because then it's a Google or a ChatGPT or something that has no say whatsoever in the information that they're putting out there. They're just saying like, oh yeah, this particular piece of a supplement is what's important, and then they can go look for that particular piece on the back of your labeling.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So tell me, one of the things that you guys preach that's on the website is that you test all the supplements yourself.
Yeah.
So when you say that, does Brad test all the supplements and use them, or does somebody on your team? What does that mean?
As far as the R&D or the finished product testing?
The finished product testing.
So the finished product testing, as I mentioned, all goes out to a third-party lab once it's produced. So if we run a product, whether it's a brand new product, existing product that we're having more made, all the finished product testing goes out to a third-party analytical lab to ensure that that it is, you're getting what you pay for, that it goes through microbial testing, heavy metals testing, all of those kind of things. and it goes through identity testing as well to make sure that those active materials and components are in that product.
Do you use any of the products that you guys sell?
I use a lot of them. Yeah.
Which ones?
I can't possibly use all of them because that's just overload.
Yeah.
And everybody has different goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Which ones do you use specifically?
So I use our pre-workout LFL.
Okay.
You know, it's one of those things that I've used pre-workout so long now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting older, so it's not like I really bounce back or have the energy like I used to, especially with running a business. I use that one daily. I use our Amino 360, our premium full spectrum essential amino acid, branched chain amino acid product. I use that daily for recovery. More or less now, I'm using more of our wellness products, I guess you could say, with the pre-workout. That's really still sports nutrition. But as I'm aging, I'm personally using more of, the kind of daily health benefit products to help kind of maximize and be the best version of Brad that I can be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'll use the pre-workout LFL. I'll use our Amino 360 on a daily basis. Our protein, of course, that's a staple. I use that daily. And depending on the day, how my food is, we have a glucose disposal agent product called GlycoShred. It helps your body utilize carbs.
Okay.
And I think that's a really undervalued, underutilized product for most people out there. But I use it on my heavy carb meals, heavy carb days. It's not something that you have to be a bodybuilder or you have to be a sports nutrition guy or sports enthusiast or athlete. It's a really good product just for general well-being, and that's one of the ones I use daily or with my heavy meals as well.
Yeah, we might need to talk about that more after the podcast.
Yeah.
My friends and I have gotten into endurance sports, so anytime somebody mentions something about carbs, it always the lights pop up and sparks my interest.
Yeah.
So do you think that supplements in general are for everyone, or do you think that they're more specific to the heavy gym goer?
So in today's day and age, I think there's something for everyone. When I first started, it was, I kind of started with muscle building, sports nutrition, products for athletes, products for bodybuilders, products for power lifters, things like that. Being in the gym, that's what I was around. That's what I was used to. And, especially over the last few years, I have kind of evolved, and I still love that category. Don't get me wrong, the sports nutrition. But let's face it, not everybody's out there as an athlete, nor do they want to be. And I've kind of, evolved over the last few years where we not only have the sports nutrition products for the people that have those goals or athletes, but, there's a lot of people that are just more serious about their health these days. You have the busy lifestyle moms, the busy lifestyle dads that are busy. They're not trying to go out there and crush the weights and things like that, but they want to live a better, healthier life, spend more time with their kids, things like that, stay in shape, stay fit. But they're not necessarily trying to crush these goals in the gym. However, with busy daily life and lack of sleep, there are a lot of good wellness products out there that, you're starting to see emerge over the last few years. And I've realized there's a need for that audience, a huge need. That's a really big audience, bigger than the sports nutrition industry audience. And so over the last few years, we've tried to start focusing on developing those kind of products. And we're actually getting ready to roll out with a whole wellness series line of products. So you're going to kind of have GEC Sports Nutrition, which we'll continue to do and which we always have had. It's kind of been our base.
Yeah.
And we're going to roll out with the whole wellness series. So basically, are you the athlete or are you the endurance athlete? Or are you the bodybuilder or, whatever on this side? And then, or are you the wellness person that just wants to, you're more focused on longevity, wellness, anti-aging. Yeah. That's a huge thing today. And I guess it was a couple of years ago that really kind of turned the light bulb on in my head. Is I was actually having a conversation with one of my contract manufacturers, and we're around the same age, and we were talking about this, and I'm kind of asking, hey, are you guys seeing, a big an uptick in, because they were a big sports nutrition manufacturer, and I said, are you guys seeing a kind of a trend in people, going towards that, having more interest in that wellness series or wellness side, and he says, we're really starting to produce a lot of anti-aging, wellness, longevity, people that are really trying to just stay in tune, stay healthy, and live a better life as they get older. Mm-hmm. And they were starting to produce a lot more of that. And so I'm kind of back and forth going, man, like, I'm a sports nutrition brand. I don't really, that's not my thing so much. But I was explaining to him, like, that's something to me personally that I've kind of become more interested in as I'm aging and as I'm getting older. But again, I don't care what I want. I want, what everybody out there wants. I want to produce what people still want. And I'll never will forget it. When we had that conversation, he said, Brad, you got to remember though, he said, you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. He said, we're right about the same age. He said, when we both started out, that was our thing. We were all about going in the gym, crushing the heavy weights, bodybuilding, things like that. Mm-hmm. And he said, but all your customers that you sold to back then that had those same goals, that same mindset as you and I, being around the same age, he said, those customers have grown with you, and they've grown with us, and they have aged with us. So he said, your mindset and my mindset that has kind of shifted more towards this longevity, anti-aging thing, those customers that you had way back then have changed with you.
Yeah,
and with
somebody's going to sell to
exactly.
them.
And he said, those guys are now the same age as we are, so they're thinking like we do. Mm-hmm. So that really kind of made me start thinking about the whole wellness side.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what do you think maybe the more simple, more commonly used product is that you sell, and then what's on the opposite end? Like, what's one of the more complex products that's maybe not for everybody?
I would say one of the more complex products that's not for everybody would be like our pre-workout LFL. It's a very well-rounded, fully loaded ingredient profile of performance, a combination of performance product ingredients, focus to kind of get your mindset right before going in the gym, before running, whatever.
It's for more of that heavy lifter, somebody that's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it's more like it's a combination of stimulants, nitric oxide boosting ingredients to relax the blood vessels to help increase blood flow, which in the gym you're trying to push that blood to your muscles, saturate them with blood and water and things like that, pushing all the nutrients out to your muscle cells. Cognitive enhancement ingredients. It's a combination of kind of all of those things together. And you're going to feel it. That's something you're going to feel. It's pretty intense. So for the average everyday, person, that's not going to be for them. That's going to be for somebody. All right, I'm getting ready to go in the gym. I'm going to have a good hard training session. Let's go. You need that extra boost, that extra push. That's going to be one of the go-to products. Just one of many that I picked out.
Sure.
And then another one that's like kind of more on the everyday, I would say, everyday products for people that aren't gym goers, that maybe they still live a fitness lifestyle or healthy lifestyle, things like that. I would say like our Amino 360. So like I said, a full spectrum essential amino acid, branched chain amino acid product. It's got coconut water in there, some electrolytes, to keep you hydrated. I think that's very important. You're seeing hydration products everywhere now. So it's got hydration in there. It's got all the 9 essential amino acids for your body, which are the building blocks of protein. So they basically bind together and interact and produce more proteins. And that's good for recovery. That's good for everybody. It's good for muscle health, everything. So I would say something like that's, you don't have to be the everyday athlete in the gym.
Cool. One thing I've actually asked a couple guests this who have come on, and I'd like to hear your insight because it's a huge topic of discussion right now is creatine.
Yeah.
So is creatine something you take? Is it something that you would recommend people taking? Is it specific to people? Is there benefits to it? Give me some insight.
Yes, absolutely. So creatine to me is nothing new. And I realize that creatine even though creatine's been around a long, long time, creatine is I believe, is the most studied sports nutrition ingredient in existence. There's nothing that has more studies than creatine.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's been around for a long, long time. So again, nothing new to me, but it's been used as a muscle endurance product, a performance product, a gym product, muscle saturation product, to help fill up your ATP stores, which is your body pulls from to get quick bursts of energy. So you can lift heavier, so you can go longer, things like that. And a lot of those studies are on 5 grams of creatine, just straight creatine monohydrate, which we have it. We have different variations of creatines. We have flavored. We have creatine HCl, which is creatine hydrochloride, which is a faster absorbing creatine. That's another story. But now, lately there's been a lot of studies and talk, which is probably more or less what you're talking about and hearing about, is a lot of people taking upwards of 20 grams of creatine daily versus the 5 grams, which was studied for performance. And they're realizing now with those higher levels of creatine intake, there's a lot more benefits such as cognitive function, brain health, things like that. And I think that's really where a lot of this new interest in talk and studies on creatine that are coming out lately, which is why it seems like creatine is something that's new, but really not. I think it's just new for a different reason. They're realizing now that there's benefits far beyond just performance and muscle health. And I'm very interested in that as well for that reason, especially since we now have the wellness series coming out. And, not to spill the beans, but we may or may not have a product coming out of creatine specifically for that reason.
Okay. So for you, do you take it? And if so, what dosage do you take?
I do. So again, I'm still old school kind of gym, So for me personally, I still take the 5 grams a day.
The one scoop?
Yeah, a 1 scoop. Our scoop is a 5 gram scoop.
Yeah.
The new one coming out is going to be a much bigger tub of straight creatine, nothing else in there, no fillers, no added anything, straight creatine monohydrate, unflavored. It's going to have a much bigger tub, still going to be a 5 gram scoop, but we're going to have a 500 gram, which should be 100 servings versus your usual 30 servings. For the people out there that want to use it as, the more like cognitive health, brain function, things like that benefits, it lasts them a long time. But me personally, right now, I still take the 5 grams daily for the performance side. I do feel like it helps me in the gym, especially again as I'm getting older. I need all the help I can get, so that's something that I take daily. I take that one actually with my protein right after I train. But we have this product particularly that I have is called Muscle Potion. We have leucine in it as well, which is a branched chain amino acid, kind of the king of branched chain amino acids, the most effective one, and a patent ingredient called velocitol that kind of raises the window of the effectiveness of your protein intake. So that's my personal. That's what I take. I take that every day as soon as I'm done training.
Yeah. But you and I are reading and listening to a lot of the same stuff where there are a lot of studies that have been, it appears to be more recent with the higher dosage of creatine and the effects it can have on cognitive function. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of develops over the next few years. And then as you guys kind of branch into that space, how that impacts genetic edge specifically.
Definitely.
The other thing that I wanted to ask about that's specific to the products, and then we'll jump more into the business, is test. So you guys sell test, and then obviously testosterone or testosterone replacement therapy is becoming a real big trend as well right now. So what's the difference between like what you guys sell versus what a doctor would prescribe? That's probably something that's not for everyone that you guys sell.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So testosterone that you would get prescribed by a doctor, for instance, you're talking about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, which is a big thing now. As people get older, aging, your body's just not producing the amount of testosterone. So all you want to do is replace that, what you're losing, So that's actually a prescription drug of synthetic testosterone.
Okay.
That you're getting prescribed by a doctor. Our product, TestMD, that is the name of our product that's a testosterone booster.
Gotcha.
So the difference is you have one that's a synthetic testosterone that's being prescribed by a doctor, and you have a supplement, a dietary supplement, which is our TestMD, which is a testosterone booster. It's not actually testosterone. And
gotcha.
It's one of those things that it's not meant to replace testosterone, like your synthetic testosterone from with a prescription. It's meant to try to elevate and support and open up your body's natural testosterone that may be bound up in your body. So basically, you're trying to utilize and push out as much testosterone in your body as you can. The way that I kind of would explain to people how testosterone boosters work is, your body makes testosterone. As you get older, you're not making as much. You go to the doctor, you get the prescription for testosterone replacement. So you're actually taking synthetic testosterone. Supplements, on the other hand, they're not synthetic. They have to be found in nature, come from nature. Vitamin, amino acid, botanical, mineral, or any kind of variations or versions of those. So I explained to people kind of the way that some of the testosterone boosters work. Some of the ingredients that they use is you think about if you have a swimming pool or are familiar with a swimming pool, your pool has chlorine in it. Well, over time, throughout the week, you get rain, you get debris, you get things like that fall in your pool. So your total chlorine's still in your pool, but it may be getting bound up by contaminants. The same thing happens in your body with testosterone. Your body's not making as much anymore, but you still have some testosterone there, but you just need to make that testosterone available testosterone. So the same thing in a swimming pool, you have total chlorine, you have free chlorine. It may be there, but it's bound up. You just need to add, as in a swimming pool, you need to add a chemical product in there to break that bond, to release that chlorine that's bound up by all the contaminants in there. So now it becomes your total chlorine and your free chlorine. Now your free chlorine, the rate of it's risen because now you have more of it available to use. So it's kind of the same thing with testosterone boosters. You're not replacing a testosterone or putting a testosterone in there. You're trying to make better use of your body's own natural testosterone as a blueprint. You're trying to tap into that and release more of it and utilize more of it and help promote and push more of your body's own internal natural testosterone.
Oh, that's a really good analogy. Yeah. It's real easy to understand it when you explain it like that. So going back to like just the business in general of Genetic Edge and the business itself, what are some of the most successful ways that you guys promote the products, whether it's to like the vendors that are selling the products or whether it's to actual customers? Give me like a pretty detailed breakdown of what's been the more successful things that are working here recently.
Yeah, as far as promotions and getting the products out to, so the way it starts is I develop the products. Again, we've kind of gone through all the R&D that I do. And then I train my guys on it. And of course, we have all the sales material printed, brochures, data sheets, flyers, technical data on all the products. So really, it kind of goes back to that old school. Of course, we do the marketing, social media, Facebook, Instagram, things like that. Of course, my marketing guy is great at that. Puts it all out there so everybody can see, right?
Yeah.
And we try to stay up to date on getting as much out there as we can on the digital side so people can see it, kind of read about, learn about it. But that still doesn't take the place of the face-to-face, really getting down. And again, a lot of companies do that, but it still pays off big time for, our reps they'll call our distributors, our wholesale customers, all the retail outlets. Hey, I'm going to send you some information on this new product. So obviously, if we're here, they're in another state, we're not driving a technical data sheet out there and showing it to them and explaining to them. But we're going to send it to them. We're going to email it to them. Send them all the graphics, all the why we did this, the ingredients behind it, and it may be something they've been involved in. Like I said before, we like to get their opinion on everything.
Is there like a method, because supplement stores, like there's so many that it would be an endless list that you could never possibly reach everyone. Is there like a method of how you're choosing the specific stores that you're trying to bring in as a new customer?
Yeah, so if it's our existing customers, we're going to send out all that information on new products.
Yeah.
We have a massive email list with all of our wholesale customers.
Yeah.
And we're sending all that information out to them, email, and then my sales reps are calling them, following up. Hey, I'm sending you something. They may call them ahead of time and say, I'm sending you something. We got this new product. And by now, all of our existing customers are so familiar with us and know that we bring out good products, they want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's something they're buying and that's it. It's something that they have to believe in and they're going to be reselling to the consumers.
Yeah.
So they know by now, our existing customers anyway, that we're putting out good premium products. So a lot of times that my sales guys will call them ahead of time. Hey, we've got this new product out. They get excited about it. Send me the material. So that all goes out. Email, text, we flood them with that.
Yeah.
We'll follow up with them, talk to them about it, see if they want to bring it in. That's on our existing customers. New customers are a little bit different story because the new customer, hey, wait a minute. I'm getting flooded with sales reps every day, with new products every day. Send me something to look at. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to look at it. They're going to not call you back, things like that. So that's when it's up to my sales team to call them, and I hate to use this term, but pester them to death. And a lot of times they will until they just say, okay, it's, I'm not interested or I am interested and things like that. And the way that we also sell is like I was taught this years ago, and being in sales for so long, that it's, first of all, it's really hard to sell someone over the phone. The best you can really do is call them, especially if it's a new customer. Call them, talk to them. Hey, I know you're busy. I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to introduce our brand. Here's what we do.
Yeah.
I'm going to first send you a brand guide. Take a look at it. I know that everybody's doing this. I'm not trying to sell you everything, but if there's something in there, 1 or 2 products that may make sense for you, for your business, I'm going to call you back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
give you time. And I feel like they appreciate that. And then we will call and, talk to them about it. And maybe we start with that one product, and then we build a relationship from there. But if it's in person with a new product, then kind of the same thing goes. We walk into, a new retail outlet that we've never been in. They don't know us. We don't know them. Introduce ourselves as a brand, kind of try to take their mind off of why we're there, what we're selling, beautiful store. How long have you guys been here? You've done a great job. This is really nice, whatever. And you get them calmed down. And then once you get into showing them, we have a lot of products. And we're not trying to sell them everything we have. And to be honest, like, they don't need everything we have.
Yeah.
And so we'll go in there and, me personally, I would say, look, here's our brand guide, and we have printouts of this too. Here's our brand guide. We have a lot of products. I'm going to touch on each one of these. It's I developed this years ago called the supermarket sale, or the grocery store sale, for easy terms, right? When you go shopping at the grocery store, I'm pretty sure you're not walking up and down every aisle. What do I need today? What do I need today? You have an idea of what you want.
It depends on the day.
Depends on
if
the
I
day.
can't find something.
Yeah, exactly. But you're looking for something. But, typically you're not going to the grocery store, going up in every aisle going, I want to buy all these things from this aisle, all these things from this aisle, all these things from this aisle.
Yeah.
You're going, you have an idea in your head of kind of what you need, kind of what you want, And so this is kind of the same, I call it the supermarket or grocery store sell, because I'm not trying to sell you the entire catalog. You don't need all this.
Yeah.
And I will tell them, like, this is your business. You know your needs better than I do. What makes the most sense for you in your market and your business?
So you try to flip through it quickly.
Yeah, and I'll tell them straight up. I'll say, I'm going to show you the brand guide. I'm going to touch on all these, just tell you what they are, but I'm not going to go into detail. And once I do that, you can tell me out of all these, 50 products, you can tell me which one makes the most sense for you, or feel free to stop me in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I will go into detail of those. And we also have technical data sheets that has the breakdown, what the products do, all the ingredients, everything, specifically what it's for on every individual product. So, at the end of it too, when we're leaving, we'll say, okay, we're going to leave you data sheets on every product we have. The ones you don't need, keep them for a later time, throw them away, whatever. You know your needs better than me. But as we're going through it, I'm going to touch on them. And then if there's one that makes most sense to you or two, then I'm not trying to sell you everything today. And first of all, if I try to do that, you're going to get lost. I'm going to get lost. And it's just noise in your head, and you're not going to remember it and retain it. So let's quickly look through this. You show me, pick one or two, and we'll focus on those. Once that happens, I put all the rest away, and we focus on those two, and I show them the two data sheets on those. And then we go into, pricing and obviously things like that.
Right.
And then we start there, and I'll tell them, like, look, as much as I'd love you to pick up the whole line, if you want to, trust me, I'm not going to stop you. But, let's start with the ones that make the most sense for you. And then, we're going to call you in a month or whatever. Obviously, call us if you need us, and we're going to see how those are going. And, down the road, we're going to introduce something else. And by that time, we've kind of built a relationship. And they have customers come in and say, hey, do you guys have this product, this product, this product? And they may say, we don't have anything like that, but I remember GEC showed me all this stuff. Let me call them and see if I can get that in here.
So you keep that communication back and forth wide open.
Keep it wide open. And, that happens more than you think. They call us and say, hey, I remember you guys told us you have this product. And I had a customer asking about that, and by the way, also every shipment that goes out, we send our product brochures in it. And so every time a customer gets an order from us, they get a brochure. And, they may be bored at home, at the office, whatever, at the counter, and they may open it up and go, you know what? I had a customer asking for something like that the other day. And it's a constant reminder that they're seeing what we have, or, we're coming out with this new wellness series. So it keeps them informed on, okay, cool. And we actually have in our brochure right now a part in there that says wellness series coming soon. So it kind of helps them stay in the know that we have that coming soon. If customers are coming and asking for wellness type products, it keeps them in the know of, hey, GEC's coming out with something, and hey, tell me more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, as far as sales go, because sales applies to almost every business. Yeah. What you guys do is really a lot of the old school stuff that seems to just still work well.
Yeah.
You just keep communication with customers, current customers or new customers, just trying to communicate clearly, be respectful of their time, not try to waste their time, which is why you're kind of going through things quickly on a high level first. And then from there, just hearing feedback from both them and their customers to make sure you're putting out the products that they really need.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, we've, over the years, obviously we've had to adapt to, and I get it, to the digital world with technology and AI and everything that's out there. And, you know, a lot of new brands that are just starting out in any business, you know, they rely heavily on that, which, don't get me wrong, it's a great tool. But I think if you only rely on that, then you lose out on those people skills and those relationships, which is really important. And we kind of did it the opposite. We started the old school way. We still use that, but we have had to adapt, of course, because if we have not adapted into this whole digital world, then we're dinosaurs. Then we're getting lost. Yeah. And people really don't take you seriously because, like, you don't have that presence out there. So it's one of those things that for us, that was one of the hard things to transition into is the digital world, because we're so used to doing it this kind of old school way. But it also kind of helped develop us into a more successful company at the same time, because we were forced to not only keep our old school ways, but, you know, bring in and adapt to the whole digital world, and now have both. It's almost like it's two businesses.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice for anybody with technology in general is, utilize technology to like optimize some of the stuff that you're doing. But the reason that people became successful on some of the old stuff, whether it's sales or old processes or just older ways of doing things in general, is because that those ways worked. And don't just completely scrap all of that productive stuff that you've used over the years just because there's a tool that's supposed to do the same thing. They can very much work in tandem and really help you get the best of both worlds.
100%.
So we'll wrap up here at the end. What's one of the most important things that you've learned since opening up Genetic Edge, whether it's like a difficult thing you had to do or just something that worked really well? What's one of the more specific things, either to supplements in general or just business?
So one of the more difficult things,
you take it how you want it. You want to take it. So difficult or just something that worked really well.
So I would say when I was living in Chicago, I met a lot of people that were young entrepreneurs. And I'm telling this because it's going to kind of get into answering your question. You know, back then, when I was working for the other company, I would have probably never taken that other step of being a business owner, crossing that line, until I met a lot of young entrepreneurs in Chicago. That really opened my eyes. I think a lot of people, including myself, find it difficult to take that leap of faith into being an entrepreneur and opening your own business when you have stability in your life, and I get that. So that was something as a business owner that was really difficult to try to overcome. I wasn't pushed into it, but seeing all these young guys that were actually even younger than me, you know, some of them, I remember like one guy owned like 4 pizza restaurants, younger than me. Some other guys were, you know, big cell phone wholesalers, making a fortune, younger than me. And I met a lot of young entrepreneurs just, you know, by chance. And some of these guys had come from another country with nothing and were very successful. And I remember sitting back thinking, like, what am I doing? And when I was in Chicago, by the way, I was traveling 3 weeks out of the month. It got hard. You know, those guys, some of them came from other countries with nothing and became very successful. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I was born and raised in this country, have great parents that have supported me all the way. I have every tool here available to make it. And if they can do it with nothing, then I sure should be able to do this. So that was kind of one of the difficult things in business for me to overcome, is taking that step. But I was kind of, that opened my eyes to push me in that direction. And, I was always kind of intimidated to, start. And again, the business got started by accident, but I went back to those roots and thinking, man, I can do this. I was still, when my friend first wrote out those couple of formulas, I wasn't really thinking of it as a business. I was thinking of it, as, hey, I can make some extra money. Why not? I can help him out. But I kept going back to my friends in Chicago that I saw doing this. If they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. And I was intimidated to get. I mean, the sports nutrition industry and having a brand especially is an intimidating business. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of smart people in this business, a lot of, geniuses and a lot of people that look intimidating, and it can be an intimidating business. And one of my friends up there, his dad is came from Greece and with nothing, with $600 in his pocket, mm-hmm. and is now one of the wealthiest people in the city of Chicago. And I never will forget two of the things that he told me as advice back when I was up there is he said that, to him, image is everything. Image is everything. And he said, look, being in business, he said, don't, if you ever become a business owner, entrepreneur, or whatever, he said, the biggest advice I can give is don't be intimidated by the people that have more than you, that are more successful than you, or that are smarter than you. Hmm. He said they're going to try to intimidate you and tell you it can't be done, and tell you, it's too hard. You don't have the tools to do it, things like that. And to me, those are the kind of people that are always intimidating, right? It's like, oh, this guy said I can't do it. He's successful, and he's right. I don't think I can do it. And my friend's dad, though, said, don't be intimidated by those people. He said, be intimidated by the people that have nothing. Yeah. And I thought about that. He said, because they're the ones that are hungry, and they're the ones that have nothing to lose. And they will do whatever it takes to be successful and succeed. And I thought about that, and that's always stuck with me. Like I have, the world's a cruel and cold and hard world, especially when you're becoming a business owner and entrepreneur. You have to fight your way to make things work. You find something that you're passionate about, and no matter, how many people in the background are telling you it can't be done, you push and you kick and you fight your way to the top. And it kind of goes back to what he said is, be intimidated by the people that don't have anything instead of the people that have everything. Yeah. And that's kind of helped me become, overcome those difficult situations as a business owner, and building a brand and building a business. Is when I start to think like that, I just remember what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. We always wrap up with some good advice for people coming up as entrepreneurs. But I think what you mentioned there really covers that. I've had a lot of people tell me and experience the same mm-hmm. thing for myself, where, I have one guy that said, he met his first billionaire, and when he was talking with him just casually, mm-hmm. He was like, this is just a regular dude. Yeah. He's got a lot of experience. He's obviously a very hardworking individual, but at the end of the day, it's not like he has something that is unachievable to get to. Yeah. It takes a lot to get there, but I think that's the point, is just because somebody seems, like this bigger than life type person doesn't mean you can't get there.
That's right.
And the other thing you mentioned that I think is really important in today's day and age that I hear a lot of people talk about is get out and just talk with people.
That's right.
All of these people that you talked about that really inspired you are people that you had a relationship with of some form. And if you're, not getting out there, whether it's just get outside and go for a walk on a popular area and talk with people, or go to a restaurant that you like, or just go somewhere and just chat with people, and don't just stay at home. If you're not doing those things, then you won't interact with some of these people. Some of those people will turn into friendships, and like you said, those people could really inspire you to push yourself. So,
yeah, sure. And like you said, with the billionaire, mm-hmm. you got to remember, at one point in his life, he was just a regular guy like anybody else too. He didn't start out like that. He pushed his way to the top, and I'm sure that he got pushed down a lot of times. And, that's where everybody starts. Yeah. And so that's, and you mentioned, get out, talk to people, learn things, doors opening, with whenever I moved out of state, not knowing anyone, had I not done that, I would have not met these great people, and I would have not had these, kind of doors open and opportunities, and who knows what I'd be doing. And, the biggest, going back to kind of what you said, wrapping up, the biggest, some of the biggest advice I can tell you, as far as being an entrepreneur and getting out on your own, is ask questions. I mean, sometimes, like my wife will tell me that I ask too many questions. That's because I don't know, and I want to know, and I want to learn. And, that's kind of, I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers, but over the years, in my business, I have learned, and I've pieced things together, and I've put it together, and I've educated myself, and I've asked questions, and I've asked business owners how they did this, what they did to do this, and, what kind of people do you need to talk to? What kind of professionals do you need to talk to put this part of the business together? And, that's some of the biggest success that I've had is talking and learning from other people that have done it, because, unless you do that, there's no other way to do it. You just kind of have to, go in the business. You're not going to have all answers in the beginning by far. You just kind of have to take that step and that leap and go for it, and, talk to as many people as you can and get the answers and do it little by little and put it together. And before you know it, you look back and you go, man, I've built a business. This is crazy that I really built this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's really good. And I think that, like you said, and like we've talked about, asking questions, because you don't know everything, and then people will meet you there.
They will. They will
help you.
They will. And that even goes back to our customers, asking them, sometimes our customers ask us, well, what new products do you guys have coming out? Mm-hmm. And we ask them a question back. Well, what new products would you like to see us come out with? And, and then they give us their input. And so again, that even goes back to that when we're developing products. What would you like to see? All right, well, let me do the legwork then, and I'll take care of the rest. And so, a lot of times people get intimidated asking questions, or they may think in their head, well, that's a dumb question, or that's a stupid question. Like, the way I see it, the only dumb or stupid question is the one that's not being asked.
Yeah, for sure. So, Brad, for anybody who's listening that may want to either buy some of the GEC products or just look you guys up and read more about you, where do they find you guys, both online, physical stores, et cetera?
Yeah, so we're physical stores, we're pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
As far as social media, you can find us on Facebook at Genetic Edge Compounds, Instagram, GEC_team, GEC_TEAM, website, geneticedgecompounds.com or geneticedgecompounds.net. We have both domains. So all those are linked together as well. So if you go on our Instagram, there's a link on there that will take you directly to our website. All of our contact info, our bio, pretty easy to find us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brad. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.